Yes, good morning everyone. Yes, good morning everyone. Hello, good morning. Am I audible to you? Yes, am I audible to all of you? Yes, Nilesh, good morning. Am I audible to all of you? Loud and clear? Yes, good. Okay, so how many people are there? Akshay, Ashwini, Nilesh, Preeti. Okay, so I already introduced myself to all of you, but still, my name is Harshvardhan Singh and I'm here to teach you history, all the aspects of history, including optional, international relation, and economics. I'm having 8-year experience in the field of civil services as an educator. Those who haven't taken subscription, please subscribe to Unacademy. It will be more beneficial for you. We have options of 1 month, 3 months, 6 months, and 12 months. I insist you to have a 12-month subscription, and in that we provide you the two option for you plus an iconic. In the iconic, we provide you everything: online classes, test series, personal guidance, including study plan. So please use my code to get a discount of 10% and you will be counted as my student. Yes, and my code is HarshV10. And if you are having any question, query, you can ask me. Okay, so Indo-China relation. In the last lecture, we discussed some of the important aspect of Indo-China relation. Just quick recap of that last, and we are going to move forward. We mentioned the present status of China. The present status of China is very simple. The second largest economy or manufacturing hub, infrastructure development is going on, export-driven economy and all. So basically, China is posing challenge to USA. We already mentioned. Then India-China relation, we mentioned India and China are the neighboring states, so we share the border with each other. India was one of the first country who recognized People's Republic of China. India support the claim of China in United Nations Security Council. Our relation was good enough to build a strong relationship. We signed the Panchashil agreement with that, but the relationship changes become sour just because of the Tibetan issue, as the Tibet was an independent country, but after the independence of China, China captured the Tibet and declared it was their part. So India gave refuge to the Dalai Lama for the Buddhist connection, and that creates a problem between India and China. India and China relation became more worst when China developed access with Pakistan after 1965, and China supported the Pakistan's claim over Jammu and Kashmir. Clear? So one more thing, we mentioned that our nuclear tests create a fear among the China, the same way Chinese nuclear tests created fear among India. So we had a border tension. We had a border tension between eastern region, that is, we mentioned Arunachal Pradesh. Then we have a central region related to the Sikkim and other area, and we have tension over western area, that is Askai Chin. Okay. But India also changed their attitude later on. The diplomatic relationship restored after 1962, means when in 1881. The border talks resumed. Along with that, Rajiv Gandhi was the first prime minister who visited there. Then, along with that, Narsingh Rao changed his attitude towards China. Then, Manmohan Singh did the same thing. So, we discussed everything in detail in the last lecture. Now, in today's lecture, we are going to discuss the other aspects of Indo-China relations. Clear? So, the first aspect, the current issue between India and China. The first issue, that is border issue. China is less interested in resolving it. So as we mentioned earlier also, and this problem is not a new one, this problem is an older one, and we mentioned that India and China is having border dispute over the western area, central area, and in the eastern area. And why it is so? It is not the problem with India, it is a problem with the China. China claim these territories as theirs. For example, they claim the Askai Chin, they claim the area near Chumbi Valley. Doklam is the very best example of it. Doklam is very best example of it. In eastern area, they considered Arunachal Pradesh as their part. They considered it as a South Tibet. Clear? So these are the three bordering areas, or the three area where India and China is having dispute with each other. Don't you think so? These were the issues emerged during the 1950s. The issues emerged at that time, but still we are discussing the same issue. Don't you think so that India fed up with that? Why we are discussing the same thing again and again? There should be some solution. Yes, there should be some solution, because it is not beneficial for India as well as it is not beneficial for China. How? Because India has to utilize the resources in the bordering area because of the tension prevailing into that area. Yes. Why these developing countries, basically China and India, developing countries, why they are wasting their resources for this activity? Why they are not going to solve this issue with discussion? The discussion is going on. It doesn't mean that we don't have any discussion. India always take this chance to have a discussion, border talks were going on, but there is no solution. How it is possible there is no solution? Solution should be there. And when you will get the solution? You will get solution only when you are participating without prejudices. But China doesn't want to solve it. That is the reason. That's why the issue is prevailed for a long time. And why it is so? Because they are least interested in resolving it. How? Because if they are going to resolve this dispute, then it gives India a more advantageous position, that India can focus on their development task. Clear? So that is the problem. Second, the border issue. Recently, in recent time, China adopted an aggressive policy. Here we mentioned aggressive policy of China is also a current issue between India and China. Aggressive policy means, a very best example in the last lecture we mentioned that earlier they claimed Arunachal Pradesh as their part, but right now they are going to issue staple visa to people from Arunachal Pradesh. Yes. Along with that, we have the references of it. They have one more example, that they issue staple visa to the person from J&K. Don't you think so? It is not a good thing for a better relation between India and China, because China knew this thing. India considered Jammu and Kashmir as their integral part. How can you consider it as a part of Pakistan? So why the staple visa is there? So it is one of the example of aggressive policy of China. Clear? So another example I just want to share with you, that is related with the Doklam. Yesterday only we mentioned this example of Doklam. In the Doklam, they said that this particular area of Doklam is there. They're fighting with the Bhutan. Along with that, in recent times, Chinese aggression in India, Chinese occupation, occupation of Indian territories. Yes, yes, exactly. Unboxer, whatever you said, it's exactly the same thing. Yes, fruitful output comes only through negotiation. Diplomacy always played a role, and India believe in that. But China's policy of aggression is always creating problem for us. So Chinese occupation in Indian territories is the best example. This year only, in 2020, we knew that China entered into Ladakh region. They still Pangong Lake. Everybody knew about this Pangong Lake and Ten Fingers. So this area is basically belongs to India, and China occupied it. The recent negotiation is going on between India and China, but still they are under Indian territory. So this creates a fear among India, or fear not in the frightened. This create a fear among India that if they are going to follow the same approach, then we have to retaliate. We have to strike back, and they have to face the consequences of it. That is the reason. So when the war is there, it is a very dangerous thing for both the countries. So India doesn't want war. So this aggressive policy of China is worrying India. Along with that, yes, Akshay asked me staple visa. So staple visa is a concept, means suppose this is a passport. In the passport, entries are there. Entries means if you're going to USA, entry is there. If you're going to UK, entry is there. If you're going to Pakistan, entry is there. Clear? On that passport only. But the staple visa, in that a separate paper they are showing, and that's staple. Stapler, everybody knew. It is just a separate paper. They issue a separate paper as a visa, so that entry of this thing is not there. You can just remove it. That's it. There is no official entry. So if it is the case, then can you imagine the anti-national activities are basic, what we can say, they support the anti-national activities. Means, for example, infiltration problem is there. In India, we suffered from infiltration, insurgency. So these insurgents, infiltrators gets easy access for that. Yes, don't you think so? They get easy access. So this staple visa is considered in separate paper. It's just stapled to with your passport. So there is no official entry of it, and it is very dangerous for a sovereignty of the country, or what we can say, it is dangerous for a peace. Clear? So that's why it is there. So staple visa, India refuses this thing of staple visa. We do not allow the staple visa. Everything should be there. All the entry of that person from one particular state to other should be on that passport. And staple visa is a different thing. Clear? So this Chinese aggressive policy is a matter of concern for India, and it creates a tense situation between India and China. And recently, you know that we lost our soldiers. It is claimed that we also killed their soldiers over that. For some of you, it may be proud moment, but in general, if you think rationally, it is not good for both the countries. We lost our soldiers. Okay, we took the revenge. That's it. But still, it is a fact that we lost our soldiers just because of this aggressive policy, and China is least interested in solving the problem. So this is a problematic situation for India. Earlier, in initial time when we developed the foreign policy, initially we have the same thing. If we have war or if you are having problem with any particular country, we ended the relationship with that particular country. But now we realizes there are different aspects of diplomacy. Clear? So if you are having problem with that particular country or any particular issue, for example, border issue is there, you can stop the border talks. But trade and other important activities are there, so we cannot stop it. Clear? So multidimensional diplomacy is going on with the China. The next thing, that is affiliation with the Pakistan, that is also the matter of concern for India. Tell me one thing, why it is a matter of concern for India? Don't you think China is a sovereign state? Pakistan is a sovereign state. They both states are different. They are sovereign. They can take their own decision. They can make that particular country as a friend or enemy. It should be depend on that. Why India is going to take tension of it? Yes, everyone. What do you think? Yes, I ask you the question and I am expecting the answer from you. Affiliation with China means affiliation, Pakistani's affiliation with the China or Chinese affiliation with Pakistan. Why it is a matter of concern for India? Yes, everyone, please. Darshan said because of CPEC. Okay, means you are saying that it is related to the trading activities only. Means economic factor is important. Yes, what about others? Yes, Nilesh, as China uses Pak for proxy war. Okay. Akshay said no, there is no permanent friends and permanent enemy in interest. Okay. Yes, Ashwini, Bhanupriya, Preeti. Yes, Unboxer. Unboxer, yes. If I'm not wrong. What do you think? Why Chinese affiliation with Pakistan is a matter of concern for us? Very common sense. Use your common sense. If you know the map of India, it is just like this. Clear? Here is Jammu and Kashmir. Here is China. Here is Pakistan. Don't you think neocolonialism? Why should we worry about Pakistan? Plus Nilesh says plus strategic location of Pakistan. Common sense. Pakistan is an enemy country for India. China is an enemy country for India. And you know one very famous idiom in Hindi, dushman ka dushman dost hota hai. Don't you think they are creating nuisance for us? How it is so? They are enemy, they are having close affiliation, and both wants to subdue India in all the aspects. That is the first matter of concern for us. Clear? Second, Pakistan surrendered this territory. This territory was basically Askai Chin. Pakistan surrendered this territory. And now, right now, China is building a road to Pakistan. China is building road to the Pakistan. Don't you think it is a matter of concern for India? Because that road is passing through the integral part of India, though that part is there in Pakistan, that is POK. But theoretically, that part is an integral part of India. Let's take an example. If India built road in Tibet, what if India built road in Tibet? Whether China is going to allow? Yes, CAF. What if? If they are they going to allow? No. Then how it is possible that it is just possible because the POK was there, it was under Pakistan, and Pakistan is doing this thing just to hurt the Indian interest. So both countries want the same thing, and that creates a problem for us. Clear? Along with that, in the recap, I mentioned that in Pakistan and China relation changes after 1965, and in that we mentioned after 1965 China supported Pakistan over Jammu and Kashmir. They said Jammu and Kashmir is a part of Pakistan. So that's the problem for us. Historical factor is always there, that is claim over Jammu and Kashmir. And the recent factor is a matter of concern. Both countries are enemy countries. Pakistan is a launch pad for terrorism in India. There is a problem of infiltration from it, and China is supporting that activities, and we have a lot of references of it. Clear? So China basically wants to exploit Pakistan against India, and that's a matter of concern for India. Clear? Yes, everyone? Clear why Pakistani affiliation with China is a matter of concern for us? Okay. Yes, clear to everyone? Next, economic rise of China is also a matter of concern for us. Yes, I ask you whether it is clear to you that affiliation with the Pakistan, why it is matter of concern. Preeti said strategic location given the fact that Pak support anti-national activities and their soil. Yes, yes, exactly. Yes. Do you have any other doubt? Okay, no doubt. Very good. Next, economic rise of China. Yes, Manoj, thank you. Yes, Darshan, thank you. Economic rise of China in recent time is also a matter of concern for us. So we should think like that. It is the China's problem. China is doing well. Why it is a matter of concern for us? Am I right or wrong? What Preeti said also, Pak and China both have border dispute with India. Yes, of course. That's why I said that Dushman ka Dushman doshman. Now, my question to you, economic rise of China in recent time, it is also the matter of concern for India. Why? China is doing progress. Are we jealous of China? Yes. Are we in the same category of Pakistan that if any country is doing progress, it's not acceptable for us? Is that the case? Why this matter of concern? Yes, everyone. What do you think? Economic rise of China in recent time is also a matter of concern for India. Hmm? Yes, I'm waiting for your reply. Just use your common sense. And those who join me today, I just want to request you that please feel free to express yourself. If you are having any question, please ask. I'm here to answer. It's my duty. Clear? Yes, economic rise of China is a matter of concern for us. Why it is so? Let's take example of 30 years ago. 30 years ago, India and China were on the same page. India and China were on the same page. Our economic progress is of the same pace. Can you say that at present, after 30 years? After 30 years, can you say that India and China are equal? Of course not. What Manu said, China would be able to dominate the trade and relations with other countries with weaker economies. 30 years ago, we were at the same page, but after 30 years, we are not at the same page. And that is a matter of concern. What Nilay said, if you want to dominate the whole Asia, thus it is a matter of concern. Yes, how? Let me explain. Chinese economy is in the booming phase. Their main, or what we can say, the backbone of their economy is manufacturing sector. Yes, their backbone is manufacturing sector. Then, along with that, they produce more. Yes, their manufacturing sector is their strength. They are producing more, and when they are producing more, they are going to dump. They are going to. Just imagine if the consumption is of 100 and you're producing anything at 1000. Consumption is 100, you're producing the 1000 items. Do you really think so that these things are utilized in that consumption area? No, you have to sell the 900 to other country. So basically you're going to dump that thing. Clear why it is a matter of concern? Just go through your any market. You will get to know everything is China made, including whatever the medium we are using, the laptops, mobiles, everything made up of China. Means sorry, made in China. How it is possible for them? There are several reasons behind that. First, dictatorship is there. Those who are having misconception that China is not having dictatorship. So please update yourself that recent Chinese president, he declared himself as a president for life. That means he became the dictator. Clear? Second thing, communist country. and they are having communism in that manner. They denied the right of common people. So because of that, suppression and oppression is there. There is no such concept of labor law exist in the ground. Maybe on paper it is there, but in ground it is not there. Second, population. Population is also important factor. For huge population is there, and to survive that population they required to provide them an opportunity, and they provided the opportunity. So availability of cheap labor is there. No working hour due to time limitation is there. So this is a very advantageous thing for them. They produce more. Chinese government support the industries and manufacturing thing, so that it became a manufacturing hub. And when they produce more, they are going to dump. And what is the disadvantages of this? That is, as I mentioned, the disadvantage of dumping is it is going to destroy domestic market. Am I right or wrong? With the naked eyes, you can see that. With the naked eyes, you can see this condition, and that is the matter of concern for India in present time. Yes, what Preeti said, because it will dominate and exploit the other countries, including India as a neighbor. Of course, when they are going to destroy the domestic market, then only you have a choice that you have to purchase everything from China. Recently, it is the case that Indian companies are not in a position to compete with the Chinese company. Clear? The next thing, next important thing, that is Tibetan issue is also a matter of concern. Though the intensity is reduced quite, but still it is a matter of concern for us. And how it is so? Because presence of Dalai Lama in India. And because of that reason, they said that Dalai Lama is a fugitive in China and you gave them refuge. You gave that person refuge. There is a parallel government running. The Tibetan government is running, but they are not in Chinese land. They are in outside. So China considered it is against their national interest. So that is a problem with India. Clear? Next, the trade deficit is there. Trade deficit is there. Those who are new to the civil services, they might get confused with this word trade deficit. What exactly the trade deficit? Deficit is basically, in very simple word I can explain. Deficit means loss. In simple word, trade deficit is basically loss. As Akshay said, Chinese trap diplomacy. What is trade deficit? First I want to mention a normal condition. This is China, this is India. If China is going to sell any product of 100 rupees to India, and India is selling the same product, means different product of the same worth to China. ₹100 we giving to China, and China is selling the same product of ₹100 to India. Don't you think it is considered as a trade balance? Yes, don't you think it is considered as a trade balance? Suppose here is China and here is India. China is selling any product to India of worth ₹1,000, and India is selling any product worth ₹100. Don't you think so this balance get disturbed? Earlier the trade balance was there. Don't you think trade balance get disturbed? How? because India is importing more and exporting less. So balance. So this trade is in favor of so China. So this trade is in favor of China. Am I right or wrong? So balance is like this. This is the Chinese side, more weight, Indian side, less weight. When India suffered loss known as deficit, and when China earned more known as surplus. So this is related with the trade. So that's what trade deficit, trade surplus. Clear? Trade deficit, trade surplus. Concept is clear. So this issue of trade deficit is there between India and China. Is that clear? Yes. Let me explain what were the factors in the trade deficit concept. Yes, trade deficit. As we mentioned, India is exporting less and importing more from China. That's why trade is in favor of China. So what exactly the case here? What's exactly the case here? India import manufactured finished goods and machineries from China. A very best example we mentioned earlier, all the products including mobiles, laptops, etc. are made in China. Yes, all the products are made in China. Finished goods, all the finished goods. Recently, Diwali was there, so hashtag ban the Chinese product and all, and you purchased the lightings and hashtag you mentioned ban the lightings. So it is just a one example of it. Everything from the China, including the ceramic tile, including the raw material and everything, means basically the pharma industry raw material comes from China. So basically, the when we mention the finished goods, all the finished good machineries, most important machineries are from China. Clear? So they are selling more. And what India exports to China? Primary goods, raw material. Don't you think so? It is a repetition of past. Since your childhood, you have heard about how British East India Company exploit India. Then at that time you read one thing that Britishers purchase Indian cotton and they send that cotton to Manchester. Then Manchester textiles comes to India and Indians are going to purchase. It was the same kind of thing. You are selling the raw material and they are producing a finished goods. So it is always simple thing in the economics. Raw goods or raw material is a cheaper cost and manufactured or finished good is a costlier thing. So they are earning more profit to them. Okay. So this Indian export of primary goods. Primary goods means what primary goods we are talking about? Primary goods. What do you think primary good consists of? Yes, everyone. Primary goods. What do you think? Yes, exactly, Manoj. Same trade was going on. I'm talking about primary goods. What do you think of? Yes, anyone? Raw material we already mentioned. The primary goods. Any other primary? Do you have any example of primary goods? Can we say that cement is a primary good? Steel, cement. Okay, so you can find out by your own which consists of primary goods and all. Next thing, that as we are purchasing the costly thing and we are selling the things at lower cost, it is a dangerous thing for us. Why? Because of that, trade was in favor, or sorry, trade is in favor of China. China is a surplus country and India is a trade deficit country. Next thing, Indian goods cannot compete with the Chinese goods. Why? Are we producing low quality material? Yes, what do you think? Are we producing the low quality material, or we do not have that much technology to produce best goods? Yes, what do you think? Why Indian goods cannot compete with the Chinese goods? Yes, tell me. What do you think? Why Indian goods cannot compete with the Chinese goods? No reply from your side. Not that developed technique. It's not the case. Technology, India is not a technologically backward country. India is having that. We already mentioned this thing, so that's why I purposely asked you. Yes, price. Yes, Manoj, exactly. Price is important factor in that. Why cannot compete with them? Because various factors. For example, cheap labor, then dumping. This is the most important aspect. Dumping. China dumped the thing, and this dumping hurts the domestic market. Yes, exactly, Nilesh. Manufacturing sector is not developed. Infrastructure is not that much powerful in India. So that's why we cannot compete. And this is the most important aspect. Whatever the aspect you mentioned, this is also most important aspect among them, that is dumping. And because of that dumping, the material or any product is of cheaper rate as compared to your domestic product. And of course, human is having nature. We know that 10 rupees is less than 100 rupees. And if you get the same product at 10 rupees, you are not going to purchase a product of 100 rupees. Clear? Next, India pressurized China to open their market for Indian important sectors like pharma, like software. Yes, am I right or wrong? Software sector is our strength. Pharma sector is our strength. We asked them to open your market for us, but they didn't allow. Why? Because these sectors are our strength. And if they open it for Indian product, if they open their market for Indian product, then it will be more beneficial for India. Clear? So that trade might get balanced. So that's why Chinese government is not opening the market. Clear? So that's why India pressurizing them to cope up with the trade deficit, but they are not allowing Indian companies to open. Along with that, another important aspect, that is India asked China to invest in the form of FDI. China should invest into India in the form of FDI. So what is the advantage of investing in India in the form of FDI rather than purchasing the goods from China? Yes, a very simple question to all of you, and all of you are so sharp, so smart. It's a compliment. Don't consider it as a taunt. It's a compliment. All of you are sharp, smart. So this is the question for you. Please tell me, what do you think? Why India insists China to invest in FDI over over purchasing the Chinese product from China? Nilesh said manufacturing infrastructure will be developed. Okay. Next, more employment opportunities in India. Okay. Then, when China brings in FDI here in India, okay, FDI give boost to the Indian domestic industries. Okay. Yes, now only boys are going to answer. What about girls? Are you sleeping? Yes, good morning everyone. The girls, or whether you gave this opportunity to boys, just answer the question of IR. We are going to answer the question of world history. Is that the case? Is that the fact between you and boys? It's a competition. So I'm asking you the question, a very simple question to all of you. What do you think? So, as Nilesh said, as Manoj said, Akshay said, FDI. So basically, FDI means foreign direct investment. Everybody knows about FDI. What is the advantage of FDI? The first important advantage is creation of infrastructure, difficult to pull out. Yes, infrastructure development is the first aspect of it, difficult to pull out. And third, it gives boost to the economy, clear. And fourth important factor, that is to balance trade deficit. Yes, thank you, Vandana. Vandana said that it increased the employment and economic growth. Yes, exactly. These are the advantage of FDI, infrastructure development, difficult to pull out easily. It is not like share that you can sell the share and just leave the country. It's not the case. It's difficult to boost the economy, yes, to balance the trade deficit. So these are the aspects of it, and India insists China to do the same, to do the need. Okay. So trade deficit, how to tackle the trade deficit? We first mention and the problems in India and China trade, how it is not in favor of India, how it is in favor of China. Then we mention about the solution for it, and India asked to open Chinese market for Indian products and especially for our strength pharma and software industry. The same way India asked China to invest in the form of FDI. Oh yes, Preeti said Chinese goods available at a cheaper rate compared to Indian goods. Okay, next. Comparison between India's and China's economic strength. Yes, both the countries are having bilateral relations and we have to think comparatively as well. So when we are going to compare the India and Chinese economy, so it's very common sense that Chinese economy is much more stronger as compared to Indian economy, and some reasons are there. Some reasons are there. So let's compare it. China is a master in hardware. When we compare the Chinese and Indian economic strength, so Chinese strength, we're talking about interested in strength. Chinese strength is basically hardware, computer hardware, all the types of hardware. Whereas in India, our strength is software. Clear? Our strength is software. Second important comparison, that is, and this is yes very important. This point is very common. Anybody can tell you. Anybody. But the second point is most important. That is, China invest in FDI through state enterprises. China invest into any particular country as a FDI, then they invest only through state enterprises. Whereas in India, FDI investment was from private player. Am I right or wrong? Yes. Do you really think so that Chinese, forget about China. China, of course, they are communist and dictator countries, so state played important role in that. What about India? What do you think that Indian investment in FDI is mostly by private player? What do you think? Or if it is there, then do you have any example? Yes, everyone. I'm repeating the question again. As here we mentioned here, as we here mentioned, Chinese investment in FDI through state enterprises, whereas Indian investment in the form of private player. Okay, Vandana, let me explain the concept of state enterprises. State enterprises means government companies. In other words, it is known as PSU or PSE. In India, it is said that public sector unit or public sector enterprises. State enterprises means governed by government. Sarkari company. Any example of it? State enterprises in India? BPCL, Bharat Petroleum, IOC, Indian Oil Corporation. Many example of it. I hope this concept of state enterprises is clear to you. Yes, for others, I ask you the question related to this. What do you think that Indian investment in FDI mostly from private player? Yes, ONGC, BPCL and all. Coming back to my question, do you get it? Means whatever I ask you, it's okay. There are many companies, so I'm not interested in that much company. My question to you is this, that is, whether India's investment in FDI from private player is more. Yes, Akash said yes, it is more from private player. Any example? If you said yes, then my next question to you, do you have any example of it? Yes, do you have any example of it? Because yes and no is not acceptable fact in UPSC exam. Yes. Uh, Yes, boys and girls, if you don't know the answer, please let me know. That will be more beneficial for me. If you don't know the answer, please let me know. I can explain why you are doing time pass like your college. In the colleges, when somebody asks the question and you just do the time pass. Here it is not time pass. Yes, here we are present to learn something new. No, Nilesh, no, no. A very best example, very common sense. Yes, Indian enterprises are more investing in FDI through private sector. Do you know the example that Tata acquires the share in Jaguar and Land Rover? Do you know that Tata acquired a tea company known as Tetley? Have you heard about it? Have you heard about it? This is an Indian player. Right now, Reliance is investing in many countries. Adani Group is investing in many countries. So, this is the way private players are investing more as compared to government players. I think this point is clear to all of you. Yes, Srividya. Yes. Reliance in Saudi Aramco. Got it. Now this thing is clear to all of you. So that is a comparison that Indian private players are investing more. But when we are comparing with the China, Chinese enterprises basically public sector units are investing in the form of FDI. Next important question. Sorry, next important point. China invests in developing countries, whereas India invests in developed countries. This is an important difference. What do you think? Why it is so? Why China invests in developing country and why India is interested in developed countries. Some of you might think that why this person is asking so much question, why they are directly asking or why not directly explaining the things. Answer is very clear, and that answer is here we are gathered to learn things, not mugging up the things. Clear? In UPSC examination, while writing mains, nobody is going to help or dictate the answer. Their question paper is not just ticked with the syllabus. Some questions are you have to solve with the common sense, and if you don't have, then it's very difficult for you to sustain. Clear? So that's why I'm asking this question to all of you. So what Srividya said it's a debt trap. Akshay said it's a debt trap. So that's why. Let me explain with the very basic. When we compare China with India, as we know this thing, China is financially more strong as compared to India. India financially less strong as compared to China. Is that this fact is clear to all of you? So as here we mention we are financially less strong, then what do we want? Assurity. Assurity of what? Returns. What we want? Assurity. Assurity of returns. And if you compare developed and developing state, what do you think? Who gives you assured return? Developed or developing country? Here we are talking about developed or developing. Of course, developed country gives you assurity because they are having huge money. Clear? And here China. China is least interested in that developed countries. Why it is so? Because if you're going to take risk, then you will get more return. Clear? And the very best example of that risk is Chinese investment in this BRI, and more return, as you all mention debt trap. Now is it clear to all of you? Yes, everyone? Now it's clear why they are investing in developing nation, why we are investing in developed countries. Okay, next China's strength is labor. China's strength is labor. And why it is so? Because huge population is there, so availability of cheap labor is there, so their main strength is manufacturing sector, and this manufacturing sector rested over labor force. And whereas India's strength is a managers. Do you agree with this? If yes, then please give me the example. And if you're not agree with it, then please tell me why you're not agree with this. India provided services, yes, of course it's there. China is a manufacturing hub, whereas India is a service hub. India provided the services to the world. Clear? Indian people are best managers in the world. Very best example. There is very famous company known as PepsiCo. The head of that PepsiCo is Indian. The same way Google head Indian. Microsoft head Indian. Yes, exactly. So basically, in how it is possible, because of the education. India's focus on technical education was more. So that's why we produce the largest engineers in the world. Yes, exactly. Exactly. Indira Nui and all and all and all. Now, point is clear to all of you? Yes, point is clear to all of you? Okay, next. Now the symbol changes. Oh, sorry. Now here you can easily notice symbol is changed. Earlier, it was a symbol of friendship. Now, we are discussing the other aspects of it. First is water hegemony of China, and that is a issue of tension between India and China. So, what is this water hegemony? Historically, China is a water scarce country, means they have very little water resources. It is scattered in that manner they cannot fulfill their demand of water supply. Historically, I am talking about. But once China captured Tibet, after that they get this opportunity and they are having huge water resources. Their inclusion in Tibet was basic reason is this also. That is, Tibetan Plateau is a large reservoir of water. World's largest rivers are flowing, one of the largest rivers are flowing through Tibetan Plateau. Mansarovar, everybody knew about that. The Satluj river is there, Indus from that area, along with that Brahmaputra. These rivers are the origin of these rivers in this Tibetan plateau. So huge water resource is there in Tibet and China is tapping that opportunity. So as I mentioned, China is water scarce country historically, but due to Tibet they are in good position. Nowadays, China, as we mentioned, China is emerged as a manufacturing hub. That's why Chinese economy is booming. And when economy is booming, it is also having an effect over the society. When standard of living is increased. Why? Because you are having money. So when your standard of living increase, at that time use of water consumption means water consumption also increase. It is the same thing with the manufacturing sector. Suppose earlier 10 factories were running, right now 10,000 factories plus running, so they required more water. Means basically this point is we are mentioning that water demand increase suddenly because of many factors, industrialization, standard of living increase and all. And this increase in the demand is fulfilled through building dams over these rivers. So you are thinking, then what's the big deal in that? India builds so many dams. Yes, it's a common thing. You can think, okay, what's the big deal? India built so many dams. We know the Bhakra Nangal Dam. Yes, there are many dams in India. Then why it is a matter of concern? It is a matter of concern because China is building a dam in the upper side or the origin side of the river and without consent of the lowering areas. Don't you think so? Water is an important or essential thing required for human beings. And if they are going to stop the flow or if they are going to reduce the flow of river, it is going to affect the environment and ecology of that particular area. It is going to affect the environment. It is going to means that particular area. Earlier it was a water surplus area. By building a big dam is creating a situation of water scarcity. Yes, we have an example of it in India as well as in the world. And we are having that fear if China is going to build big dams over the Brahmaputra, then the water flow to the Brahmaputra reduced in such a manner that it will create imbalance in environment and ecology of Indian area. Clear? This is the one aspect. The another important aspect, what we mentioned, yes, what we mentioned, this first point we mentioned, environment and ecological impact. Yes, this impact we mentioned. That's why India is concerned. Second most important thing, India is having fear of floods. How? If water availability of water is more than China is going to open the gates, and these are going to cause the floods. This is also the problem. This is also the problem, and flood leads to devastation. It is also going to hamper environment, ecology, economy, all the aspects of life. That's why India is having concern. And India said that when you're building a dam over transnational rivers, at least you have to consult. And China is not consulting. China is not giving the information related to these dams. So in recent, this is also having a problem for us, and that is known as water hegemony. Clear? So that is also known as water hegemony. Whether this point is clear to all of you, water hegemony of China. Yes, whether water hegemony of China point is clear to all of you. Yes, everyone. Yes, is that clear? Okay, good. Now, next, BRI, Belt and Road Initiative. As I made this slide blank. Why it is so? Because I'm going to ask the question to you. Belt and Road Initiative, and why it is a matter of concern for India. Don't you think it's a good initiative? And China is promoting that. It is the best initiative we have taken so far. Earlier it was known by one road, one belt policy. Yes, one belt, one road policy. Now it is known as BRI. What exactly it is? What exactly it is? It is basically the infrastructure development. It is the infrastructure development project. Infrastructure means development of roads, development of ports, yes, development of railways, etc. Yes, Srividya said it passes through POK India and it is question of Indian sovereignty. So BRI is not just restricted to the India. It is open for all. So China is investing huge amount of money for infrastructure development in the form of road, port, railways. But where? Whether it is restricted to China only, it's beyond China. Beyond China. This BRI is basically beyond China, Asian, African countries and everything. China wants to connect all the countries. It's their initiative. Don't you think it's a good thing for those countries who are not in